Hello. Could you say your name?
Yes, my name is PHAN Khanh Phuong. I was born in Tam Kỳ, Quảng Tín, Vietnam, 1995. Yeah.
1955?
1955, sorry. And I born and raised in Tam Kỳ, Quảng Tín, and my family is the small family. Just my myself is the oldest one in the family, and two brothers and one sister. My dad worked for the South government of Vietnam in Tam Kỳ, and my mom just a housekeeper. And the living in central Vietnam is lovely. Even during the war, we were born and raised there, but actually really peaceful in the family and very happiness, yeah, in the family.
Could you tell me a little bit about your father's work?
My father worked as a police officer in the district there in Tam Kỳ, and he worked with another group there. But actually, when I turned to 16, and I had to I studied in the high school in Tam Kỳ, and then when I graduated in Tam Kỳ in 1973, and then I went to Saigon, the capital city of South Vietnam, study.
What were you studying as?
I studied in general science in first year. In the second year, I was in the first year in the medical school in Saigon. Yeah.
And what were your memories of your life in just before the end of the war?
The end, and I remember exactly 1975. The end of 24 of March 1975. The Tam Kỳ, it was fell, and then the communists took over of my hometown, and so everything just interrupt there. So we got some help from the friends and some NGO and everything there to help for surviving during the time. But we still still study and try and finish the semester there. The end of April 1975, when the communists of North Vietnam took over of South, and everything just it interrupt there. They kicked me out of school. It no longer school them because probably the communists don't educated us because we are the group of people is against them or whatever they are, or it's not on their side. So they kicked me out of school at that time. So myself and some friend, we come hometown. And at that time, my dad, my relative, was in the prison. The communists called the re-education camp, but that is the prison. It's nothing there. It means the way they try and do it for my dad and relative, or all the people got related to the communist, to the South Vietnam government, were arrested, and probably the way they try and do it to kill them, but probably reacted from the war, so they stopped and just killing them, but slowly. But I come home in August 1975, and very shameful for what happening in the family. Everything they took from all the property of us, they took everything. So
what did they take? Like your house?
At the house they got the big one and small one, so they took the big one to use for themselves, and we live in the small side, and with the children, my brother and sister, with my mom. So they don't know how to do anything. So I am the oldest one in family. I decided to stay and help them. I had a chance to go or escape the country with one of the priests, the father I know, but I decided to stay and help my mom and my brother and sister.
How did you find a living?
It's very tough time, very tough. So they're surveilling everything what I'm done, and they push me up to the labor camp. It means to go there and work with the you know, the mine field, and cutting tree and everything. At that time, I don't know anything. I don't know how to do it because I just studied and I'm a student in school. And at that time, I actually don't know anything. But we had to do it. It means they pushed us to myself and some of my friends to work labor of camp, right? So, but my mom, and she had to support the family, only her and my brother, and young that time, but they still to go to school and learn something. But nothing we can do at that time.
What kind of work did your mom do?
She did housekeeper, and then she had to go to the her side to ask for some land to plant something, the rice and everything, and something for food, right? So my mom just surviving by that time. Yeah.
So she went to her family and she asked for to use a little bit of land to grow.
Land to grow something there.
To grow some vegetable patch.
Rice and everything.
To sell at the market?
No, just for family to survive. Yeah.
And so when you were in this work, labor, doing this hard labor in the mine fields, was that a job that you signed up for, or did everybody forced to do?
Young people in the village there, in the community, they had to go to do the work.
It's like some youth group you have to.
Yeah, the youth group. Yeah,
they have to. That's what you have to
do the work for family. Every family had to contribute the work to the government there.
Did you get paid?
No. With the communists at that time, nothing to pay. The environment at that time, people very fear about what the communists, what they asked you to do, you had to do. At that time, if they had a very powerful, you can see they can, if you do not listen to them, what they ask you to do, they can kill you anytime they want. Yeah, they're very strictly about that. So all we can do is just do what they ask for.
And how dangerous was that work? How hard was it?
It's very far. In the morning, I remember my mom just dropped me some food, and then we go from 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and come home probably around 7, 8 at night time. Yeah. And then they're gathering us to at night time after dinner or something. They go and then they just try and say something about how good they are and everything, and what we had to do for them to do the mass organization. They do the same way with the North Vietnam. So, and you can see that the thing at that time that they can do the torture you, they can arrest you, they can kill you, they can do whatever they want. And I figure this is the horrible situation for the people in our family and all people in South Vietnam.
Do you know anything about how your dad was, what kind of conditions he lived under when he was at camp?
He at the camp, I don't know where are they at. My mom where that, and my mom said she didn't know where he is. Until November of 1975, we found out he might up to the forest, far away from, he called it Tiên Lan. Tiên Lan province, far away from home. So my mom decided to go and see him, but she cannot go. So I said, I go. So she packed me a backpack with the food in there, some food and some medicine. So I went there, probably around um, 60, 50, 60 kilometers from my hometown. So I went up there. I had to walk about 25 kilometers, walk to backpack.
How long did it take, the trip from your home?
In the day, I leave early in the morning, and then I reach to my dad. Where the camp that they held in there, and probably by 11 or 10 o'clock, around 10, 11 o'clock at night, I reach there. Yeah, it takes so much time for walk, and in my backpack it's heavy, and I cannot put it down. I have to lean on the road, on the rock, on the road there, and then just relax a little bit and keep going.
And so when you went to visit your dad, it was at night time that you got to the camp?
Yeah, I arrived at the camp around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night time. So I sleep over at the visit the shed there, and the next day I got the people at the camp, the communists, probably the soldier there, whatever they are, the guard, I don't know, but they asked for who you come and visit, and I give my dad's name, and I wait for until noon time. So I got the time to visit my dad. Very short for me because I haven't seen him for probably a year. I met him in the year of 1981, and 1974 on the New Year I come home, and I met him there, and then until November 1975, just 10 months?
1 year.
Almost 1 year, but actually I cannot tell. It's so just the skin and bone in his body. And then also when I see some people walk around the camp to go to work and everything, and I see some of his friends too, and I recognize, no, this is not the human being. This is not the re-education camp. This is the worst prison. I never seen it. And then it means the way the place they keep there, it means to kill people slowly. They had to cut the tree at that area and build a shed and dig the ground to plant some thing to eat and drink the water from the river. So that's the way the communists try and kill people. Instead they kill like the mass killer in Cambodia. Vietnam, they do this slowly, but that's the way that they do to our people.
And when did you decide that you had to leave?
1980, after I visit my dad in November 1975, I come home and I changed my point of view. I said, no, this is not the society I should live in. And this is the government to control our country. It's not the good government to do it. So we had to do something to stop the economist policy, or everything that just try and put people into work and work for the group of people. The thing is the communists, they try and control. It means they took everything from you. It means they control your mind, by the repression, and by afraid you, and then they control your mind and surveillance you. It means whatever you do, whatever you like to think, and they want to know what you think. And also with the control your stomach. It means, when you have nothing in your house, you have to listen to them. That's the way the communist control. So when I come to visit my dad after that, I feel, no, this is something wrong here. And we decide to have to do something for our people, especially for my family, for our people in the country. So I decided, and with my friend, we decided to join in the group to anti them, how to stop the policy of them and everything. So at that time, 1981, it means 5, 6 years after, we try and do something, but actually we don't want to explain here because it kind of people in the country still there, some of them. So
you can't talk about your anti-government activities.
Yeah, that activity we done in Vietnam since 1976 until 1980. We just go one place to another place and talk to people and everything, and it means we try and explain to people, don't fear to the communists, because the way they do people, they treat people, is not human being. So we had to try and stop it.
But you can't go into details.
No,
you don't want to go into.
1981, I was arrested by them, by the communists, and they put me in the place. It means in small connect there. It means in the back of the where my dad worked before. I remember when I come and see him.
The police.
Police station there. They got the small room in the back there, and they arrested and put me in there. In the 3 days, in the morning, they come, normally they open the gate, the door there, so we come out and get some fresh air and everything. And on the third morning, I did try and escape. I jumped over the wall there, and I get in the school and hid in there, and then I escaped.
And so you were involved with anti-government activities at the time, but you don't want to go into details.
Yes, to keep the confidence and something the safety for the people inside the country. So we don't like to go detail for that. But actually, after 1981, I was caught by them, and they put me in the cell behind the police station there. On the third day morning, I jumped over the wall and then run away from them. I come home at night time and just say bye-bye to my mom and my brother. I take one older brother with me and get on train from central Vietnam to Saigon, back to the city where I studied before. I met some of my friend. They're still who skip their education, and they're done education, and they work in Cần Thơ and Ratya. So I come and stay with them.
In the south, in the countryside,
the western side of Vietnam. So we run around back and forth Saigon, Cần Thơ, Ratya, and stay with my friends.
You were in hiding all this time?
Yeah, I stay at normally at that time, the people in southern Vietnam a little bit easier than the central Vietnam. They're not focused on, they're not look after you, because I try and dress up, look like the communist member. It means we had to do something look like the communist, the real communist. We try and say something in them. It means they thought that southern Vietnamese people, they thought I am the real communist. We had to dress up like that. So I've been around in that area there for 1981, the March 1981, I left my hometown and I come to Saigon at that time.
And when you were living in all those places in hiding, how did you find, a livelihood? How did you feed yourself?
Stay with the friends, support by friends. Yeah. I eat with them what they have, whatever they have, they offer me, and I eat with them. And actually, I had to do some work with to settle my brother first, because I'm the oldest one. Before I leave the country, I had to settle older, younger brother first, so settle them by the do some work and with all the paperwork with it fake one, but we had to make some paper for him to study in the one school called the education school there. I mean, to teach in South Vietnam before I go.
He couldn't enroll as himself. He had to get a fake identity to enroll to school.
Yeah, because I had to change on the resume and everything. Is good, and at that time Vietnam, they control people. You had to agree to got the approval from the local police, allow you to out of the home and go to study in another place. At that time, we had to do everything in the fake paperwork. Yeah.
Was it because that he was your brother and they were on the hunt for you that he had to change his name?
With him, no, but at that time, with the communists, they had to check your background. If you like him to get in the school to study or to be the teacher or to be something to work for the government there, you had to be clear the background, and then we had to change that for him. And also we had to do some paperwork to get approval from the local police, allow him to leave home or to go there and study or work. That's the way the control of the people in the system.
And did he take a name of somebody who actually had a real background?
I used his name, but I changed my dad background, and then I had to sign everything, and I had to use the stamp different way to get him approved for that. So that's the way I try and settle him first, and then I find a way to leave the country.
Tell me about what you arranged to leave the country.
Just a friend. I got a friend. He teaching in the high school in Radia, and he said, I understand your situation now, so we try to find a way for you, because I don't have money at that time, you know. So he said, okay, I got some people I know, so we try and organize the boat and escape the country. So I take me with him. So we go together, and actually I live in Radia with him, and then he organized the boat to leave the country in Cần Thơ. So we went out to Cần Thơ and then escaped the country in August 1982.
Tell me about your boat. How big was it?
It's actually the big boat. My boat is the first the guy he organized is with he said to me 85 people, but and then they pay for the local police quite a few money to buy the landed place, and then to pass the control spot of the communist of the police there. They pay quite a bit money. So the police there, before he said to me the boat only 85 people, will become up to 135 people. So police send more people to make more money. That's way. That's a corrupt. That's big corrupt.
So the police were by themselves selling passage to 50 people.
Yeah, 85 people, and then that beside that, they try and put more people, sell more passage to the more people, 50 more people.
50 more people, but they didn't have a boat. They used your boat to.
Yeah. That's the way they do. Yeah. So the police they make more money at that time. So 135 people on my boat, quite a bit. Yeah. And my friend they're in with me. So my boat is about 4 days. 5 nights we arrived in Malaysia. It lucky one with no trouble on the way, but still something the minor thing, but it's not the big hardship on the way to Malaysia.
And where did you land in Malaysia?
We landed in Kangaroo or something.
Trengganu?
Yeah, and then we stay there one night, and the next morning they boat out to Pulau Bidong.
And tell us about your time in Pulau Bidong.
At that time, we probably so happy because we left the big prison and we came to the land with the freedom. We not worry about people surveilling me, and also it kind of like we feel like we be in heaven because of the freedom country. We say whatever we want to say, we do whatever we want to do. It means
Tell us about your time at camp at Pulau Bidong.
Yeah, at that time when I arrived in Pulau Bidong, it's so happy when we arrive in the freedom country, even in not it's still the the second country when we try and flee the Vietnam big prison there. We all the time we just try and volunteer to help people, our people there, and to see whatever we can offer to help the people in the camp, and especially people come or escape the country. They come to the camp without parents. We call the unaccompanied minor. So we try and focus on that to help with another people from the social worker in the camp. At that time, we've been around there in August 1982, and we got accepted from Australian delegation 1 week after I arrived in Pulau Bidong, but I refused it because I don't know Australia, and I just thinking to come to North America, especially United States. So I refused to come to Australia. My friend, the one who come with me, escaped the country with me, he's a teacher in high school in Vietnam, and he accepted that, so he went to Australia 1 month after we arrived in Pulau Bidong. Yeah.
And how long did it take you to get accepted from either the United States or Canada?
Actually, I wait for to go to United States, but probably take longer. And then my friend worked with me, and he said you should go to Canada. And I said, okay, that's the country. Canada is close to United States, so I can do that. So we, myself and another friend who worked with me, we both, were accepted by the Canadian delegation. At that time, the member of the United Nations, the High Commissioner for refugee in Pulau Bidong, Canada and Australia, a little bit easier to go. So I decided to take Canada into either the country we can go. Yeah. Finally, they accept me, and then 4 months after, they transferred me to the Kuala Lumpur, and then fly us to Canada in July 1983.
So how long was your stay at the refugee camps altogether?
Probably 11 months total. Yeah.
And you said that you did volunteer with the unaccompanied minors. What kind of volunteer work did you do?
Volunteer to help the unaccompanied minor to just help them and figure how they escaped the Vietnam first, and how to help them to be settled or interfere with the delegation, and also help them to live in the camp with a few social worker in the camp too. There, one guy I work with, he from United States, and another girl I work with is from Malaysia. They're in the student graduate, and they come to the camp to work for volunteer for 6 months before they find a job. So that's what I work with.
And how did you decide where in Canada you would live?
I had no idea. The thing is, you know, I decided to go to Canada. It means, you know, and I don't have any relative here to sponsor me. But when I come to Canada, the government sponsored, and I had no idea wherever that they land me or they put me anywhere in the country. It means the freedom country. I is happy. So, and then finally, I came to Canada in the small town, Cranberry, up north of Edmonton, yeah, in Alberta. And at that time, 1983, when I come, the economy in Canada at that time is very, especially in Alberta, is very slow. You know, and then I can tell you the short story when I landed at the airport at Cranberry by myself. I escaped Vietnam by myself. I come to Canada just by myself. I out of the airplane and get in the inside the airport, and nobody come and welcome what were there because they don't know what time I land. I had no idea because it's a small town. They don't have the people to work for or whatever there. And then I wait for a while, don't see any people come and ask me. So I come to the counter of the people who work there and I ask, you know, where is the immigration office? And then they asked my name and then they said, okay, you wait here, and they call to Manpower in Cranberry, and then they said, asked me to take a cab and then go to the motel. Go to their office first, and then so the cab take me to the Manpower office in Cranberry, and then they said they checked my paperwork and everything, and then they sent me to the motel, the cab. I stayed in the motel for what, 2 days, yeah, and then nobody come and see me there, but actually I feel very happy because that freedom, right? We landed freedom country. That what why we flee the Vietnam. So I stayed in the hotel motel there for 2 days, and no one come and see. So I phoned back to Manpower and asked, you know, any Vietnamese people around here? And then they said, yeah, they do have few, but in the weekend they come and see me. So in the weekend they come and see, and they take me back to their to apartment where they stay. And actually at that time I so hungry because I don't eat the Canadian food, right? With the I just drink Coke and then just the soup, just the broth of soup. That's all. And then when they come to their house and then they made me the bowl of noodle, that's the first instant noodle I ever had. It's so good, you know, at that time. Yeah, I never forget about a bowl of instant noodle there for what, 3-4 days. Yeah, yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
But you were in the hotel, the motel by yourself for 2 days. Did you have money?
No, they asked me to come down to the restaurant and motel and eat, and did the bill to the government there. So
and there was no good, nothing.
I cannot eat because I'm not used to the Canadian food, right? Even now, I still the Vietnamese food. You know, I don't like the much about the food here. Yeah.
But did you have enough language to?
I got some, but not really good. But I still you know, made the communication with the people who work there, and I still call them and ask them for help. Yeah.
How big was Grand Prairie
at that time? We wanted to come down to close to 20,000. Yeah.
Tiny.
But right now, I think that the Grand Prairie about 60, 70, or 80, something around that. But that time, people just live in the town because the oil and gas is very outside, so people just live in the town.
Why did they put you there?
I had no idea, and I just happy because anywhere they put me in Canada, I am okay. But just one place. I remember when they landed in Vancouver, we got about 6 or 8, something like that, and I stay overnight in Vancouver hotel. The next day, when they come back to the airport, one guy they go to Lethbridge, and myself we go to Cranberry.
So after you saw how big Vancouver was and how how vibrant and all that stuff. You ended up in Grand Prairie,
Yeah.
but you were happy about your freedom.
Yeah, yeah,
But
very happy. Yeah.
and so happy that even the isolation and the loneliness of Grand Prairie didn't bother you.
No, because with me, I so happy and so I forget everything. It means when I sleep at night, I not worry about people can come and harass, and or even nobody disturb me in the night time. Even the noise or someone knock the door and everything, we don't worry about that myself. It means I'm so happy, so I don't worry about anything else. Yeah.
So in Grand Prairie, in the first few days, did you get offered language classes?
Yeah, about I think 1 week after I came, I landed in Grand Prairie. Manpower called me down, and then they offered me to go to the college for the English class, yeah, and then learn some culture. I very appreciate for whatever the government offer, even they don't the small town, but after that probably the policy of Canada, they offer people to get in the learning English, learning the culture, and then get acquainted with the the community there, and go and buy food and everything to get used to with the living in this country. So,
there were a few Vietnamese in town, but were there, in your classes, were there refugees or immigrants from all over the world?
yeah, they got in Laotian, Cambodian, Polish, Vietnamese, just myself and another guy, so two. Yeah, two Vietnamese in my class, and some Polish, yeah, from Poland, and they escaped from the communist country there too. So, yeah.
And how long did it take before you found your first job?
I had no job there in Cranberry. I just studied. I go to the English class, and stay there for 3 months, 3.5 months. In November 1983, I decided to leave that house because I'm not used to. I like to more independent and like to live by myself with the way I prefer. Then the government of the Grand Prairie, they rent the apartment for me, stay with another guy, Vietnamese guy, and then they got the bed and they got furniture and everything there, everything ready for me to live there. But I decided to leave because I'm not used to go there and wait for $40 a week for food. So I decided to leave that town. And when I arrived in Thunder Bay, Ontario, 1983 November, I just sent a letter back to the guy who worked in Manpower. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't let you know ahead of time, but I decided to stay in Thunder Bay with my friend, and whatever you bought for me, furniture and everything, just save it for the next one. And he sent me the file to me for the Christmas gift, $5. Yeah, and a very nice thing. Yeah, very nice thing for that. Yeah.
And so you went to Thunder Bay because you had a friend there.
I got a friend in Thunder Bay, and I go and work with them in the restaurant, and I go to school at the same time. Back to the grade 13 in Ontario at that time, I remember. So I worked from 6 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock for restaurant there. But in the lunch time, I got 2 hours. So after lunch in the restaurant in busy time, so I go to the class after lunch and come to the high school class there for 2 classes, and then I take the online classes to get enough credit to go back to university. University in Lake Hague, University in Thunder Bay.
What did you study in?
I study in electrical engineer because yeah, in that time I met with my wife and brother, So he studied in electrical engineer. So I study with him, and I come visit him there. He work now. He work in Toronto. Yeah, he in electrical engineer. He work in Toronto now. So.
And what happened next?
So it means when 1983, I come and visit my my friend there.
So what happened next?
Yeah, when I was in the second year in electrical engineering in Lakehead University in Thunder Bay, and at that time I received the news from my family in Vietnam. My dad out of the prison, and a very tough time for our family in Vietnam, and the secret police and local people there seem like it's very very hard for them to live there. So they decide to get out of the hometown. So I had to make a decision at that time to quit school again one more time and go and make some money first to help the family to solve the problem in Vietnam. So I had to go there, and my friend helped me to buy the restaurant. They lent me money, so we buy the restaurant, small restaurant, and run and make some money, and then they lend me some money to send to Vietnam first to help my family to buy all the paperwork in Vietnam and move to Saigon.
You had a restaurant in Thunder Bay?
Yeah. So it's a small restaurant, and then I run that one by myself, and then with the support from friends. So I run for about 1 year, 1985. So
was it a Vietnamese restaurant?
that's the mixed Canadian Vietnamese, just a little bit of the Chinese and Canadian food, and actually. I never do, and never know. I don't know anything about the restaurant. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to cook. No, nothing. But actually, and run restaurant is very, a very funny thing, because we just hire people and work, and they learn, how to do it. In 1 year, but not too bad. Actually, we work hard, long hours, to try and make money to support the family in Vietnam. 1 year after my family moved to Saigon, with we call the legalized paperwork there, but actually completely, the big corrupted in Vietnam, so we can buy the paperwork to move from one to another place. So 1986, when I met my wife, and we settled the family at that time. Married in October 1986, after the family in Vietnam settled. My wife in family is the same situation with me, so a little bit easy to understand, and she understand. She support me a lot, and then allow me to do some work I like, even to join in or do whatever I like to against the communists from overseas. So at that time.
So you got involved in volunteer work doing
I started to do, in my mind, start to contribute whatever I made money. I contribute to some organization overseas, Vietnam overseas, to help them, because in my mind, when I left the country, the day I left, I still had a day to come home. So I never forget that. So we got the day to escape country. We still had the day to come home. And it soon or later depend on how we work hard out here. Yeah.
So that restaurant business, did that last for a while?
Since there, it probably, my wife very good about that. She helped me a lot. At that time, she know how to, because she learned something from her mom, and to be survive after the communism. Her family getting worse than my family, when the communists came. You know, her dad is in prison, and her mom with the big family, 11 member in family, and when they come to Saigon and come back to Nha Trang, everything is gone. The communist took the house and nowhere to live, and nothing. They had to go and get some rice and make some soup for them to survive, and the children. And that time, my family will get worse, but she worse than our family. So she helped me a lot to build the business, and then very successful. We work hard, and then raise the family there since 1986 until now.
And how long did you stay in Thunder Bay for?
I stayed there a total until 11 years. Yeah, 11 years, yeah. 1983, I come and I study to 2 years. So that's 1983, 1996, so 1983, 1980s, 1986, so 13 minus 1, 12 years in Thunder Bay. Yeah. Yeah, Thunder Bay, 12 years, and 1 year in Saskatoon.
Oh, then you moved to Saskatoon. Why did you decide to go to Saskatoon?
After the business very successful, we try and move further west. So it means in my mind, the day we go to ocean and back to Vietnam or something. And so I decide my wife family moved to Toronto, and we go to west. They go to east. They move east, and we go west. And I decide the city is a very friendly city. Is Saskatoon, a small city, but very most of the religious city. Most of the Catholic there. So we decide to move there to raise children. But 8 months, we bought the house and everything in Saskatoon. But 8 months after, we couldn't find any business to do with, so we moved to Cary in 1996.
You could open a restaurant in Saskatoon?
Do different, yeah, but at that time Saskatoon very slow, yeah, and we couldn't find any business. But when we come to Cary visit a friend, so they said you should come here, a bit more opportunity for you to open a business here. So, and then we look around here, and then we found one place called liquor store. At that time, Alberta, they do private time for liquor store. So we decided to get in that business. So we moved to Cary in 1996 with 3 children and wife here.
And that business lasted for a while?
I bought that business in 1996 and run until 2012. That's been 16 years.
So if you were to look back, at what point in time did you feel like you were at home, that you were settled in? When I start when I married in 1986, we feel like that we already got the family, Vietnamese family. It means the Vietnamese wife and everything there. So, and then we moved to the biggest city, 1996, and I figure we get more life home because we got a family, raise children in the Vietnamese culture, try and teach them the Vietnamese language, and then teach them the culture. My sponsor, my mom and dad, to come over, so we got my mom and dad here. So speak at home, look like in Vietnam. So we speak Vietnamese culture, Vietnamese food. So it means we look like a small society here in Vietnam. And beside that, we involved with the community, Vietnamese community, Vietnamese activity here, and also the connection here in Vietnam inside to work and how to change the regime in Vietnam. So that's why we feel like we here and work we work in Vietnam. So every day just the Vietnamese language and Vietnamese culture talk. Even some people, when I talk to people in Vietnam, in North Vietnam now, and we don't know them or we don't know him or her, but when we talk, because we are the same side,
you know, with the same situation, how to make Vietnam to change. It means to get the freedom back in Vietnam, democracy back to Vietnam, or all the right had to establish in Vietnam, and people in Vietnam had the same what we have here. That's what our dream, you know, how to try and make a change.
And if you look back in the early years, what were the biggest obstacles, the biggest struggles that you had to deal with?
It's very hard for everybody, and not myself, everyone. We left the country to come to another country with completely different. The culture, the language barrier, it blocked everyone, you know, and then you had to start all over again. It means even you done school in Vietnam, you come here, you have to start study all over, and then to get the degree again, it means you completely start all over your life one more time. But I can tell, you know, the harder of our people, the Vietnamese people, escape Vietnam is a very tough one. We found the freedom over the death, so nothing can stop us when we move to another country. Language barrier is hard, but it not can stop us for our people, especially in this country. When you come to this country, people open their arms to welcome you here, and they support you, whatever you when or whatever you need, and it really helpful for us. All the struggle for Vietnamese people, especially, and then myself or a friend or my family can overcome easily, because we figure the top one we pass. So just the small hill or the little hill, it not can stop our people to be successful here.
So what helped you overcome the obstacles?
That really with us, because the hard work, because we lived with the communists during the 6 years. I myself lived with them 6 years, and you can imagine they took everything. You live with all the oppression from them, all the surveillance from them, all the control, you know, hard control from them, and they try and put you to death, but you survive from that. Anything, when you come to freedom country, the country with open chances for you to be success. So with us, nothing can be problem with myself. I figure, and Vietnamese people general, when they cannot live with the communists and come to this country, I think we very happy to come to Canada here, because the country they offer so much opportunity for our people, and there so much help for our people in this country. Yeah.
Do you share your experiences with your children or with Canadians, with other people?
Yeah, I myself very proud about that. I always proud about both people. We are both people. We escaped the country because we couldn't find the freedom, the right, everything in our country, and then we come here with the big help from this country, and I'm very proud to share myself story, my wife's story, or my friend's story, and then my family story to our children. That's where it keep them, and they're very proud for us too. And someone they said, oh, we come to another country, we have to bend our head when we see people here because we are the poor country. But no, we very proud what we had learned, what we did in our country, and what we've done in this country. Very proud about that. So we just put head up and keep moving forward. Our children very proud about our parents, and, and Vietnam, but not Vietnam communist. The Vietnam with the freedom, that what the heritage they keep and they learn, they try and do that to continue what the effort we done for them, and whatever we contribute so much for them, and they keep the culture of Vietnam in the family, how to look after parents and everything when they get old. We try and do that in our country too, but it's very hard. But step by step, they influence quite a bit in their mind. Yeah.
And what are your thoughts about Canada's response to the refugee crisis?
I think one of the best country. When I was in the camp in Polo Pidong, I read one article of the 1956. I remember when the Hungarian, they got 20,000-30,000 Hungarian people that come to Canada at that time, and I can see how big heart of this country when they try and bring quite a few people from Hungary to Canada, and also in 1976 when the new the immigration act they established in 1976, they start to let the more private sponsorship to come. When you see the crisis in Southeast Asia after the Vietnam War fall in 1975, so Canada, when I read an article there in Malaysia, and I see this country is one of the best countries to solve the problem of the refugee crisis from Asia. So I'm very happy to come here and live. Yeah.
And what can future generations of Canadians learn from your experience and from the experience of Canada's response to refugees?
I think with Canada, I'm very proud of them because I remember probably 1976, 1997, Canada was a war by the world, because probably they received a war about how to react to the crisis of refugee in South Asia. One of the best country to solve that problem, because I see all the level of the government, even the community, they work together and solve the problem. You can see in the short time, Canada can receive so many people in so little time. Just a little time, but they accept so many people come from Vietnam, Laos, or Cambodia, and now you can see with another crisis here with Syria, and I think Canada one of the best countries to do that.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
With us, I think with the next generation of our people, it means our children. Can we learn a lot of things from their parents, and a lot of things our experience to transfer to them, and there you can see they can influence in the country very good in the future, because they know how to they know how to pass or overcome the struggle and everything either their parent or their relative passed before, and now they're born and raised here, but they still keep the culture and tradition of the Vietnamese they learn from us, and then they combine with what in this country offer them. So I think in the next generation of our people, it's very helpful and contribute a lot of things for this country. Yeah, I think that's good. And also with the government of Canada here, you can see, remember of journey to freedom. Even the senator of the Canada, they just passed the act there in 2015, right? The journey to freedom. And every April 30th, it called the Liberation Day in Canada, especially for people to fight the freedom in this country, to choose the country as a freedom country, and also that it made the remote for Vietnamese people to choose Canada as the country to live.
Thank you very much for taking part in our project and for sharing your stories.
Yeah, very happy to come here and express my feeling with you today. Yeah, hopefully whatever we pay, we can get it back in the future. Yeah. And hopefully Vietnam going to be one of the countries like Canada, so we can come home together and rebuild.
Thank you.